Hey, good evening. So we're live with the news today. I'm trying out a new thing. You know, hang in there and give us some encouragement. We're bringing you the news live today, so we'll be able to chat during the news, in between stories. We'll be able to take a look at some of your questions as well. Although I'm shifting between the news script and your questions, so you'll have to be a little patient. But for those of you who are already joined in, let's give it a few more minutes for a few more people to join in. Let me see. We have Deep, Josh, Shailesh, Anish, and Husmat who are already here. Of course, the biggest story of the day is coming out of Haryana. It has to do with the farmers' protest. And we're going to take you through what happened today and why that police reaction or the police action in Haryana today got such a massive, sort of negative reaction across the country as well. So let's get straight to it. We'll get to our first story right now, and that's coming out of Haryana. So the situation was really tense today in Karnal district of Haryana because the police resorted to a lathi charge to disperse farmers who were peacefully protesting. They had in fact blocked the highway and blocked the toll naka, but they were peaceful. Now, what they were doing was they were trying to disrupt a meeting that was being held by the BJP today, where the strategy of the party for the upcoming municipal polls was being discussed. Now, the police action against the farmers has drawn a lot of anger. What happened then is that even more farmers, because the farm leaders put out a call, even more farmers came out into the street and blocked more highways. Also, to make matters worse, there was a viral video that's doing the rounds on social media that came out that showed the Karnal DM, who is the district magistrate in charge. He's an IAS officer normally in charge of law and order. He was giving instructions to the police in that bandobast, basically saying, use your lathis and make sure that nobody crosses this line. Effectively, he said, pick up each protester, utha utha ke maar do. Basically, that's what he said. And he said that if anyone crosses this line, then their head should already have been broken with the lathis. Now, this video has made things worse as well, and the situation has gotten even more tense because several farmers were in fact injured in that lathi charge. Let me take you through what happened from this morning. So the BJP was scheduled to hold a meeting today to plan its strategy for the upcoming municipal polls. Protesting farmers threatened to disrupt that BJP meeting. So they had basically said that they will now protest in front of the hotel where that meeting was going to be held. So police bandobast was called in the entire district to maintain law and order. According to Indian Express, earlier in the day, the Bharatiya Kisan Union leader, Gurnam Singh, he is the leader for Bharatiya Kisan Union in Haryana. He appealed to farmers from across the state to reach Bastar and to other toll plazas in large numbers. He said in a video message, and I quote, I appeal to all my brethren to immediately reach the toll plaza near your location. If the toll plaza is far from your location, then block the highway that is nearest to you. Now, the farmers also attempted to gather outside of the Prem Plaza Hotel in Karnal, where this BJP meeting was on. They weren't allowed access, so they couldn't go there. Apparently, Chief Minister Manohar Lal Khattar was also supposed to attend. The protesters then stayed at the Bastar Toll Plaza, where they showed black flags to the BJP leaders. But because of the heavy police presence, they weren't allowed to either block vehicles or block the toll plaza. What followed was the lathi charge. Now, post the lathi charge, the Bharatiya Kisan Union leader, who I told you, Gurnam Singh for Haryana, slammed the government's use of violence against farmers, and he asked all the farmers to come out and block all the highways in the state. So currently, there are farmers, from what we understand, based on the Indian Express report, farmers are blocking Bastar Toll Plaza, they're blocking the Shahabad Toll Plaza at Kurukshetra, they're blocking the Kalka Zikapur highway as well. And the police commissioner of Panchkula has tweeted, and he has basically said that the Kalka Zikapur highway has been blocked by protesting farmers. Traffic of this route is being diverted. All commuters are advised to avoid this route and don't use it unless it's an absolute emergency. So that is the main story coming out of India today. The farmers' protest. Remember, the farmers have been protesting since the monsoon of last year, when these farm laws were passed in Parliament. They were protesting in their respective states. In November last year, there was the protest that then converged at Delhi, at the outskirts of Delhi. Those farmers continue to protest there. And there have been, of course, continuous protests across the country demanding that the government completely withdraw those farm laws in their entirety. The government, as you know, negotiated a lot, but also dug in its heels and finally said it's willing to hold off the farm laws for the next year and a half, which was also not acceptable to the protesting farmers. So those protests continue. In the meantime, you remember the monsoon session of Parliament that has just ended. The opposition demanded a debate on these farm laws, which the government did not concede to. Joel Olivera, thank you so much for that $1,000. Remember, to our audience, please use the super chat feature. We give you the news free and open source because we see this as a public service. But if you use the super chat feature, you support us and we use the money to pay salaries. Let's move on now to our update on what's happening in Afghanistan. The US military yesterday said it carried out a drone strike against a planner of the ISIS-K, which is the Islamic State Khorasan, the group that has claimed credit for the deadly suicide bombing at Kabul airport. Now, what is worse is that the BBC ran a story speaking to eyewitnesses who were there during the bombing. They said that yes, while a large number of Afghans died because of the bombing, many others died because of panic shooting that was, that then followed because the foreign troops, could have been American, but the foreign troops that were there began firing at people, and a lot of people died in that firing as well. Remember, the death toll now has climbed to 100 Afghans from that bombing. Captain Bill Urban of the Central Command of the American Army has said, and I quote, "An unmanned airstrike occurred at the Nangarhar province of Afghanistan. Initial indicators are that we killed the target. We know of no civilian casualties." This is an interesting thing to say. We know of no civilian casualties. It doesn't, categorically say there were no civilian casualties. It says we don't know of any. So that's a very carefully worded sentence if you look at it. Close to 90 people were killed, like I told you, including 13 US troops by that suicide bomb that went off at the gate of the airport. Yesterday, the Pentagon spokesperson John Kirby said they believe that the group that planned that strike plans to attack again. In the meantime, China and the US discussed the evolving situation in Afghanistan during their first round of military talks after President Joe Biden has come into power in January this year. Hong Kong-based South China Morning Post quoted a Chinese official saying, and I quote, "The Afghanistan crisis is one of the most urgent issues of risk management that needs to be discussed." Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi raised the issue at the Alaska talks last year, but his American counterpart chose to ignore it. So we're staying with Afghanistan right now. There's a PTI report that says that the Taliban has deployed extra forces around Kabul airport today to prevent large crowds from gathering after the suicide attack, which took place 2 days earlier. And remember, on the 31st of August, the US deadline of airlifting people out of Kabul will end. So reports say that the new layers of checkpoints have sprung up on the roads leading to the airports, some manned by uniformed Taliban fighters with Humvees, night vision goggles, which they got from the Afghan security forces, which were ironically given to the Afghan security forces by the American government. The areas where large crowds had earlier gathered at the airport over the last 2 weeks in hopes of fleeing the country following the Taliban takeover are now largely empty because of the number of checkpoints that have been increased on the way to the airport. So the situation, of course, for our audience who are joining us live, the situation does remain very, very grim in Afghanistan, especially after this bomb blast now. The Taliban has made it clear that they do not wish to give America an extension on its 31st August deadline. And one wonders what's going to happen to all of those people who want to leave the country but are not going to be allowed to leave the country. If you have any questions, do feel free to pop them into the question window. Moving on to an update coming in from Mysuru. Remember the story of that horrific gang rape case that we brought to you over the last 2 days. There's an update now. The arrests have been made. Karnataka DGP Praveen Sood, who's personally monitoring this case, has said 5 people have been arrested in the Mysuru gang rape case. The 6th accused is on the run. All of these people were laborers from Tamil Nadu's Tirupur district, and they were apparently, some of them were picked up from Tamil Nadu. He also said that one of those arrested seems to be a juvenile. He said, and I quote, "A 17-year-old, we're not sure, but we're verifying." Remember, a young woman, a 22-year-old MBA student from Maharashtra, studying at a Mysuru university, She and her friend were attacked at Chamundi Hills, which is a popular tourist spot, by a group of men who were drinking and saw the couple go into the forest. They surrounded the couple and demanded money from them. And then when the couple refused to pay, the men beat the young man and allegedly raped the young woman. The Karnataka Home Minister came under fire this week because he said the young girl should have never gone there at that time of night. Also, the case was transferred to the DGP in order to get quick action. One worst thing that has happened, former Karnataka Chief Minister Kumaraswamy appeared to suggest that the Karnataka police shoot and kill the accused in the same way that the Hyderabad police dealt with the accused in the rape case 2 years ago. According to the Indian Express, Mr. Kumaraswamy has said, and I quote, "I appreciate the Hyderabad police in dealing with a rape case. What did they do finally? Unless stringent action is taken, things will not improve. Culprits in a sexual assault case usually get jail time and then secure bail. This is not effective to control such crimes." Now, let me just take a quick moment. I'm taking a moment here to explain why it's worrying when a politician and somebody who has held the government, the seat of chief minister, questions the law and order process of our system, of our country. Effectively, he is suggesting that those accused be executed, and this is a terrible, 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 terrible thing. You cannot short circuit the system. The system exists for a reason. If the police were allowed to go around shooting people, it would be a matter of time before the police becomes, before these deaths are then, done for other reasons. And there is not enough evidence right now for these accused to be deemed guilty, which is why they have to be presented before a court. The evidence has to be looked at, and they have to properly be sentenced. Now, the suggestion that the short circuiting of the system is a good idea is a very dangerous suggestion and should not be taken seriously at all. And that's a really important thing. And we were talking about this just yesterday. We did a conversation about the fact that politicians are aware, because there's so much research, politicians are aware of the fact that the real solution to preventing crimes of a sexual nature, and I'm talking about preventing because that is also the police's job, preventing crimes of a sexual nature isn't actually improving policing, staffing the police adequately, making sure that we have specialized detectives who can investigate these cases, making sure that evidence is collected responsibly and the chain of custody of evidence is not tampered with, that witnesses have their statements recorded responsibly, and that prosecution is paid adequately and given enough access to resources. Now, this is a lot of work. Nobody wants to do that kind of work, which is why statements like this are made by politicians. Let's short circuit the system, which I said earlier is a terrible idea. Moving on to other news now, coming in from across the country. Yes, for Anuj Sharma, this is a live bulletin. We're doing a live bulletin so that we can interact with you a little more during the bulletin. Please use the super chat feature and show us some support. Let's get back to the news right now. The central government has announced a new registration mark for vehicles of the Bharat series, of the BH series, to facilitate seamless transfer of vehicles across states. So, according to the notification issued by the Ministry of Road Transport and Highways, a vehicle bearing the BH series tag will not require assignment of a new registration mark when the owner of the vehicle shifts from one state to another. The vehicle registration facility will be available on a voluntary basis, which means you can choose it, to defense personnel, employees of central and state governments, public sector undertakings, and also private sector companies which have offices in more than 4 states or union territories. So that whole pain of when you shift from one city to another city, having to change the number plate on the registration on your car will not need to be done if you fall into one of these categories. Mumbai's Municipal Commissioner Iqbal Chahal has made a statement today saying major portions of South Mumbai, including Nariman Point and Mantralaya, could be underwater by 2050 because of the rising sea levels. Speaking at the launch of the Mumbai Climate Action Plan, Mr. Chahal said that about 70% of the city's A, B, C, and D wards of South Mumbai will be underwater because of climate change. He warned, and I'm quoting him, he said, "We're getting warnings from nature. If we do not wake up, it will be a dangerous situation in the next 25 years. It will not be only the next generation, but the current generation that will also suffer." Remember, there was a report that was put out by the UN, which we've done a fairly comprehensive video on, and you can check it out, that warns that most of our coastal cities in India will be underwater. If there isn't drastic steps taken to reduce climate change. And remember, the argument that India is a developing country and hence cannot take steps doesn't hold really, because Indians might suffer more than anybody else given all of the risks that run. And you can watch that video for those, for those specific details. Will the coastal road also be underwater? It's likely, but the coastal road is being built above the coast, so we'll have to see at what height it is being built. But if all of Nariman Point and Worli and all of these other areas are going to be underwater, then that's enough of a reason to worry. Let me give you an update right now on COVID and where our COVID numbers are, and if there is concern over there. There is, to tell you, there is concern for COVID. India reported 46,759 new COVID cases today. This is the highest single-day rise we have registered in nearly 2 months. 509 deaths recorded in the last 24 hours. So remember, 20,000, 25,000, now we're at 46,000. Kerala is reporting the most number of cases, 31,285 cases. Kerala has actually been reporting more than 30,000 cases every day since Onam. And that is actually worrying, because now the concern is, if festivals are celebrated as normal, will this sort of spike be then witnessed in other states as well? To respond to that, the central government has now extended all existing COVID guidelines until the 30th of September, noting that the overall COVID situation appears to largely be stable, except localized spread of the virus in a few states. Remember, yesterday we told you that the central government has warned Kerala and Maharashtra. The union government has directed the respective state governments to take proactive steps ahead of the festive season and avoid large gatherings. The centre has expressed concern over the fact that the total number of active cases and the case positivity rate in some districts across the country remains on the higher side as well. That is the COVID update for now. Taking you now to news coming in from across the world. And as we give you the news from across the world, also an acknowledgement to my team that's doing this live today, which is very exciting for us. We're trying to figure out how to do this live. So after Cuba, Hurricane Ida is expected to hit the American state of Louisiana on Sunday. So Hurricane Ida was moving away from Cuba today into the Gulf of Mexico, where it's expected to rapidly intensify in the next 24 to 36 hours. The American National Hurricane Center forecast said this morning that it's expected to be extremely dangerous major hurricane when it approaches the northern Gulf Coast on Sunday. New Zealand, according to The Guardian, COVID outbreak has actually gotten a lot worse. It had 82 new COVID cases reported, taking its total number of cases to 415. This despite a nationwide lockdown that New Zealand announced when it got the first case. It's now at 415 cases. New Zealand has extended its nationwide lockdown till Tuesday. The Prime Minister, Jacinda Ardern of New Zealand, has said her cabinet will decide on the lockdown setting in Auckland, where most of these cases appear to be from. The neighbouring Northland region on Monday said it was likely that Auckland would stay at level 4, the highest setting, for another 2 weeks at least. An update from the world of science and technology right now. Scientists have discovered a new island off the coast of Greenland, which they say is the world's northernmost point. According to The Guardian again, the small island, which is about 30 meters across and at its peak is about 3 meters, consists of soil and rock left behind by moving glaciers. Scientists say that although this new island is exposed by shifting packs of ice, it's not a direct consequence of global warming, which is apparently shrinking the Greenland ice sheet. Okay, so we have an update on the sports front, and for that I'm going to go back to our chat window. The sports front is about Manchester United, guys. Anybody wants to guess on this thing? So Ira's already put it up on the screen, so that guessing job is done. But we have an update from the sports section. I know a lot of you guys are going to be excited about this. Cristiano Ronaldo returns to Manchester United after 12 years. It's officially been confirmed now that Manchester United has brought him back for £12.8 million, making him the top earner of the club. Now, Manu put out a statement that read, and I quote, "Manchester United is delighted to confirm that the club has reached an agreement with Juventus for the transfer of Cristiano Ronaldo, subject to agreement of personal terms, visa and medical." Everyone in the club looks forward to welcoming Cristiano back to Manchester, end quote. Remember, Ronaldo scored 118 goals in 292 games in his first stint at Old Trafford before leaving for Real Madrid in 2009. And a piece of positive news before we leave you for today. The Kodava clan portal, called Kodagu Heritage Private Limited, has been named in the Indian Book of Records for the largest family tree linkage. The portal started 5 years ago by a Kodagu native called Kishore Uttappa, who has created family trees of nearly 16,000 Kodava individuals, now the largest in the country. The portal has documented the lineage of some families up to 14 generations since the 16th century. Any subscriber can enter details of his or her family and find relationships with other clan members. So if you're from Coorg apparently and you want to trace your lineage and family tree, now you know where to look. All right, that brings us to the end of this bulletin on a Saturday. It was a pleasure to catch up with you guys. Remember, we're here every day to bring you the news without any opinion in it. Do remember to share these videos with your friends and family. Comment in the comment section as well. It pushes it up in the algorithm so more people can discover it on YouTube when they come to YouTube. It is our aim to be able to put out clean, clear information that is not in any way manipulating your emotions, that is not in any way leaning left or right or any other side at all. The aim is to just inform you, which is, in our opinion, the job of journalists. So I want to thank my team for being able to put this together. Amita Balchandra, who you see on a regular basis, is the lead writer of our show. We also have Ira and Shubhankar and Gautam, who handled the production as well. So now that we've managed to figure out how to do this live, it's another feather in our cap, but we're going to continue to keep innovating and figure out how we can make this better for you week on week. Thank you so much for watching. Enjoy your weekend. We'll see you on Monday. On Monday also, we'll have a new episode of Money Love, which I know that you appreciated a great deal. Our first episode, so we'll bring you our second episode on Monday. Fingers crossed. Hopefully you like that one as well. Neha, we will bring you an update on the Paralympics as well. I saw your message. Thank you so much. Thanks for watching. Good night.